Welcome once again. We have Roli with us talking about the second part of employer branding, the new talent game. This part talks about leveling up the employer branding strategy. Now, Roli, leaders, of course, are the core pillars of forming the strategies, right? Now, how do you think, or what do you think is the role that leaders play in leveling up the employer branding strategy, and how do they act as effective brand influencers?
Amazing question, Roshan, to start the conversation today. And I think, as you rightly put, leaders are a hugely important element when it comes to putting out an employer branding strategy for any organization. Because as we know, the candidates of today don't only look forward to joining an organization, but they also keenly look forward to the person who's going to guide, mentor, and be their day-to-day leader that they are going to work with, right? So they play a hugely important role in shaping the career and growth of an employee once they join the organization. So I think it's very important for leaders to build their eminence and personal brand outside of their title as well that they play in the organization. And I think gone are those days when you can just put out your education, professional experience, what role you play in the organization, what kind of technology transformations you have achieved as part of your tenure. But I think people really look forward to knowing a leader beyond the title that they have, right? And I think these days, even showing vulnerability is a sign of strength. That's also coming up very strongly because we all are human in some form or the other. So I think there are some tips and tricks that I keep sharing with some of the leaders when we do these, building out the personal brand and leadership eminence for in the marketplace to put out an employer brand, right? So I would request all leaders to imagine them as living in a glass house full of glass windows, right? So talk about leaders as celebrity figures because they are being watched and they are influencing folks around all the time. So I think as leaders, we should look at opening one of the windows sometimes, and let others have a glimpse of their life beyond their title. I think they can speak something about some travel that they had, or they attended some training sessions, or even talking about their pet or kids once in a while, or a young team member, maybe a millennial team member who really impressed them, or they saw a spark somewhere even while engaging in a conversation during a traffic with a fellow passenger, the kind of reflection that they have had. So all these things give a glimpse of what the person is going through and what are their ways of thinking and introspecting, how they internalize the things, because in this way they are sharing a slice of their life with others. And I think in the process, by consistently following a stream of such content updates, they build a follower base. And I think these people become as influencers, and they have a steady stream of followers who look forward to hearing and listening to the leaders that they are following. And I think it really reaps huge benefits in the long run, because it's like an insurance policy. You keep investing it by paying the premiums, because you never know when it might come to use for you. Maybe you're going forward, you're hiring for your team, or you're looking for some expert guest speaker for one of the training session you are looking at, or you want to have some industry expertise on one of the critical projects that you're driving for a global transformation. So I think as leaders, it's hugely important to invest time and resources into building this important skill.
Right, absolutely. And I completely agree with you because the world is watching and they create perceptions. Absolutely. And you have to be out there present and create that positive perception.
And it is a win-win situation for the organization as well as the leader at the end of the day.
True, absolutely. Now, leaders, of course, have their role to play, right? Talking about talent, right now, it is a talent-driven market, right? How do you rewrite your brand story to retain and source new candidates? With so many layoffs going on and so much happening in the talent market, how do you do it?
To talk about it, I think we are in a very interesting era where on one side it is a talent driven marketplace, and rather than organization choosing the talent is choosing you. At the same time, layoffs are also happening, and we are in the era of great resignation. So I think it's great dynamics at play, and it's a very turbulent times in the market, both from organization and talent standpoint, right? So I have some set of strategies that I follow for the kind of employer branding strategies that we drive, and I think it is hugely relevant in today's times as well. So I am a fan of the great marketing guru Philip Kotler, and he came up with 5 P's of marketing back then during our MBA days. So I have my own connotation of employer branding. I have coined some 5 P's that I think if you apply judiciously throughout the employer branding journey, I think that can pay huge results for your organization positioning, right? So these 5 P's are, I would categorize them into pride and passion. So because I think pride that the employees have for your organization, the kind of love and the kind of display of culture love that they show, that really speaks volumes about the workplace and the leadership and the people that they work for. So I think pride is a hugely important element. It naturally tends to bring so many employee and brand advocates in the market who authentically endorse your brand. And I think passion is another thing, because if you really have passion for the kind of work that you do, the organization where you work for, and you really think you're making an impact, I think the branding will happen naturally, because you are like living and breathing influencer all the time by the kind of acts you do and the kind of words you speak, reflecting the culture of the organization where you work for. I think at the second level, it's perception and positioning, because I think the kind of perception that an organization has in the marketplace, it's hugely important, because when you look forward to joining a brand, you really think about the way you perceive that workplace as your future employer, right? So how you build that perception and you shape the narrative across the candidate lifecycle journey is very important. And I think to counter or manage the perception, positioning, that comes the 4th P, how you position your brand using and leveraging all the available channels like career portals, social media sites, influencer, press media, and all the things that we have been speaking about, right? So you can position your brand appropriately. And I think last but not the least, the brand personality, because I think this personality of the brand is hugely important as a 5th P in the mix that we are talking about, right? Because that shows the tangible and intangible brand personality that is there in the minds of the employees and the candidates that you're trying to seek, as well as the customer. So I think these 5 P's compositely represent the corporate brand, and it is hugely important that we critically nurture and maintain all of them to build a position.
True. I think you very nicely consolidated everything into the 5 P's and giving it the employer branding tadka, of course. So thank you for saying that. Now, along with keeping what you just said in mind, the millennials form a large percentage of the workforce today. How do you think we can customize the prevalent employer branding strategies that would appeal to this millennial generations of today?
I think that's very interesting question that you have asked, Roshan, around millennials, because I think these days, especially in any of our internal and external meetings and conversation, there is not a point that we are leaving behind without considering the mix of millennials into it, because I think they present a huge challenge as well as an opportunity, both from engagement, retention, and hiring perspective, because I think they come with a different mindset altogether. This is a very dynamic generation, and I think how they perceive and assimilate things is drastically different from how we have been used to dealing with people of other generations, right? So I think I have acknowledged that there are some kinds of things that do not work with millennials in the straight fashion. You have to really customize, be creative in trying to put out the messaging to them, because I think gone are the days when only like single way communication will work with them. They are not the generation who will sit in your town halls, leadership addresses, go through a training session, and that's it. They really look forward to engaging with two-way communications. They have their own way of thinking, and they are looking for opportunities to engage and interact with the top leadership also. So I think how we make our value proposition of an organization attractive to them is again something very challenging and very unique way it has to be handled. So I really believe that they need a lot of flexibility and empowerment, which is something a culture should directly try to offer to them in various ways and means, through programs like having millennial board members in as monthly part of one of the board meetings. You can have a millennial board member where you should be open to ideas, what they have, and maybe down the line, if feasible, look at implementing by guiding, mentoring, and providing them all the resources to help them take it to completion. So it is like a launch pad from idea to implementation via them with them through the journey. And I think this is a huge way of empowerment, also to show an open leadership I think the concept of reverse mentorship has come in vogue of late, where we have one of the millennials mentoring one of the senior leaders. And because I think it is again a win-win situation, because we talked about building your personal brand, and I think nobody is as social media savvy than the millennials of today. So I think they really can give a tip or trick to our leaders of how to build your personal brand, do's and don'ts of social media, and what to say, whom to say, and how to say. So I think building out content for leaders, and that is one area where reverse mentorship really works. And I think another very important aspect we have to look at, especially in COVID times, also we have seen that nowadays employees don't look at an organization as the place where they only come just to work and sit from 9 to 5 in front of a laptop. They look at enjoying at the workplace beyond work. They really want to make an impact at the social level, and contributing to community. They have their passions outside of work, and they want to engage in hobbies. And they really look at building their whole selves to work. They are not looking at only contributing on business deliverables. So I think to put it nicely and wrap it up, we can say that gone are the days of Doordarshan. We are into the OTT era, where people really want to watch what they have on demand entertainment. So I think similar things applies to millennial and the workplace, and we really have to customize and tweak and be open when talking to this generation to really appeal to them.
Right. True. In fact, you very aptly put it. The millennials, of course, is a very large task to handle, and bridging the gap between the senior lot and the millennials is where the magic happens. And I think which you put very nicely on how we can balance that. Now, millennials being millennials, of course, we also have competition to deal with, right? Now, how do you keep competition in mind when you're putting together or stitching your strategy together?
Another great question. So I think this is very important topic to talk about, because so far I think what we have been talking about is more of a inside out approach, right? I think this is our strategy, this is how we are taking it to market, and this is how we are positioning. But I think we cannot ignore that we are operating in a dynamic marketplace where we have competition, we have like-sized and like-minded organizations like us who are also trying to attract the same technology talent, or the pool which we are trying to tap, right? So there is competition all around, and it's very important to keep a tab on what they are saying, what they are doing, and what are their different strategies to attract the same talent, right? So I think to do this competition tracking, I think what we do is we keep connects with a lot of our industry associations, like we have in India, like NASCOM, AmCham, ICIA. So through them, we keep on getting what are the surveys and reports saying, what is the future of work heading, and what does the talent of today want. They are doing a lot of IT surveys in this marketplace. Secondly, we also have a list of like-sized organizations like us who also attract same kind of talent pool. So what kind of messaging they are giving to the marketplace, what kind of events, awards, or what kind of campus hiring strategies, for an example, they have. And I think you can follow their social media channels, you can go to their news sites and press releases to get some of this information. At the same time, we are all live in a connected world, and I think it's a small world. We are all knowing people working at the organization, so it's important to get some informal feelers and feeders from your unofficial networking and sources like that, because that sometimes give you hugely important information as well. Other thing is we also look at benchmarking our practices against the industry by working on employee surveys run by like Great Workplace to Work and the similar organizations, which help you with how we benchmark our employee perceptions against the market, and are we doing the right thing for our people, and is it something that we are missing on. So this gives you some important information that you can implement and acknowledge and imbibe into your future employee policies. And also, other thing is that we need to have our employees engage with the marketplace. So we look at participating in a lot of corporate events where multiple companies come together. So this gives you an best practices sharing as well as industry networking, both from branding and learning opportunities that we don't miss out on, so that our employees also feel that we are not operating with an inside mindset. We are also open, and we are open to learn from others as well. So it's both an inspiration as well as learning. At the same time, it helps you be on the top of your game, I would say.
True. Now, Rolly, in this entire series, we've spoken of a lot of strategy, right, in terms of different aspects of the employer branding strategies. Now, a strategy is nothing if not executed, What are your suggestions in making execution seamless?
That's an amazing question. And I think that is a day to day struggle I think most of us go through because we get fab ideas, especially I get it when I'm driving on the way back, right? I said, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? But obviously, I think you have to keep it real, keeping in mind your dynamics, your environment that you operate in, and what kind of resources and budget that you have available. So keeping that in mind, I think it's important that going back to my previous answer of doing time management and planning ahead, proactively knowing coming on the plate down the quarter, down the month, and thinking of the tactical list as well, along with the strategy, right? And who will do what we will do, and building timelines and checkpoints against each, having plan A, plan B is in place so that your stream of communication keeps flowing and there's not a dull period where people wonder what happened, they are completely out of sight, and that might even mean going out of mind. So I think we have to really draw plans, get work done, and also across the organization to get instant feeders, right? It's very important to have communities and groups running, and you can use any channels which are handy and widely used. Some simple things like WhatsApp, Telegram, even Slack closed groups, some social media closed groups that you follow. So that helps you with instant feed of information, both in terms of visual contents, metrics, and looking at the way to showcase through various infographic, which is again a very informative format coming up these days. So you really need to keep your feeders going to make sure they look attractive, they are in time, they appeal to the audience, and they are packaged well. So a lot of team huddles and informal Friday catch-ups also help on this front, where we really look at ways and means of showcasing, because once you have good raw material, you know what recipe you can cook and who are the people you can feed through that. And another thing is that you also have to keep your vendors and agencies on tap and proactively informed, because you are the eyes and ears for them to help you turn around the great work that you are really doing. And treat the entire, I think, communication game plan as a campaign, because you know which are the stakeholders, what are the timelines, what are you talking about, and also keep measuring and monitoring to help improve constantly. That also helps to be consistent.
True, true. Interesting. So, Rolly, great piece of advices you've given us on this in this session. Uh, Amazing insights for how the leaders create an effective brand perception out there, how we need to rewrite our brand story, customizing strategies for millennials, competition, a very important takeaway for me personally, and of course, strategy, if not executed, it's nothing. So, a great piece, great advice, amazing insights. Thank you so much, Rolly, for sharing your perspectives on this.
Thank you so much, Roshan, for this opportunity to speak to your audience. I thoroughly enjoyed each and every part of the series. Thank you so much. I hope the audience also have some takeaways from this.
I'm sure they would.
Thank you.